everyone and welcome to my channel, and today I am really happy. I have a guest coming on in a minute. So for those of you that are new to the channel, welcome. It's nice to see you, and I'm going to leave explaining who he is and how amazing he is to him, but I know as well he's quite modest, and this guy is an amazing hairdresser. I've had the pleasure of working with him on a number of occasions and he's inspired me and I've learned so much off of him. Let's bring on Mr. Let Lew. Hello.
Hi, Chris.
How are you?
How are you? I'm very good, thank you.
Good, you're looking well. It's nice to see you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No, it's always a pleasure. I mean, I could probably talk about you and rave about you as much as anybody. And I know you're quite modest, but just for sort of anybody joining the stream, anybody that sort of, you know, they've seen you about, they can't miss you. But do you just want everyone to sort of give them a brief background of where you come from and everything about yourself?
I came to UK about 12 years ago, and just trying out a new life, new culture, and see how it goes. And now I'm here 12 years later, and the most important things I think for me is making that decision in the first place, leaving my family and friends and my career and start fresh again.
Now I know you have a large family, don't you? How many sisters have you got?
I have. I'm one of 8.
You're one.
I'm one of 8. Yeah, we are. I'm in a family of 6 girls and 2 boys. So I'm one of them. So I have my brother, he's 13 years older than me. So I'm very lucky actually to have that big family, because it's always a lot more fun. And then when there's something happen and we all just joined in and talk it out and then work things out. And
I mean, I understand. I mean, you know, my family is scattered in London and Spain. I haven't got, you know, I've got a sister who luckily I do get to see every now and again. So I know that last year you were nominated, weren't you, for the British Hair Awards, and you got to the finals.
Yeah, I was.
Well done. They were fantastic pictures. I know as well. You're in again this year, aren't you? So.
I decided to go in again. It is really tough, Chris, because during the pandemic, during the virus, the lockdown, I think for every hairdressers and every competitors, trying to still produce a collection is very difficult, and it's a lot of money.
Yeah,
it's a lot of money to be invested in, and photographers, models, everything. And so it's just really nice that I still be able to do that, and I'm very lucky, and I have a very supportive partner. And at the beginning of the year, I actually thought, no, maybe I'm not going to do it this year. But then I did have that voice like next to me keep saying like, what if this is your year? What if this is your year destined to win a BHA? And I thought, you know what? You only live once, and it's only money. And if I don't do it, I will definitely regret. And this is something that I always hold when whatever I'm doing. Will I regret it if I don't do it?
I think, it's one of those things. You know, the old saying, isn't it? Really, you only regret the things that you don't do. And I mean, again, you're so talented, and I've worked with you. I've been lucky enough to work with you on videos and up on stage and everything. But again, I think the hard thing is, obviously I did my session hairdressing, I won't say, a long time ago. And I know that you've got 2 salons, haven't you? Which we'll talk about in a bit. But you got into the session hairdressing, sort of a creative side. And I know probably maybe how you got into it was slightly different. And I know there's a lot of people out there that you know, we have a lot of talent in this industry and a lot of creativity in this industry. So what advice would you give? I mean, obviously now you're launching these hairdressing pictures, but if somebody wants to get into, say, the photographic side, just starting out, what advice could you give to them?
I would say, I mean, for beginners, if I were to offer this advice to a beginner, I would say you need to be an all-rounder to start with. Trying to learn every possible skills and every possible things that you possibly can learn from in hairdressing. I think once you get, let's say, I don't know, like your bucket fill up 70%, then you were thinking, right, now I know what really I want to do, what I really don't want. I think at that point you can sort of branch out and start focusing on things that you really want to focus on. So in hairdressing wise, for me, I found my love for passion because I think I'm very sensitive when it comes to color and fashion, and also at the same time of creative. I love when fashion and hair combine together. So I think that's why I really fell in love with session work and editorial. So if somebody that already doing hairdressing, then they must know already what they love and what they don't love.
Yeah.
And I think once you find that, then really focus on it and make it and turn the dial up to 100 times so you get noticed. I think that's very important. I mean, we can't say we're the best. You can never say you're the best because there's always somebody that have more crazier idea than you, have more better creation than you. But now we're living in a generation that social media can get your work out there very instantly.
Yeah.
And with the right platform, with the right path, with the right technique. And I think it's a really good way to getting your work noticed and yourself noticed and let the world see who you are as a stylist.
Because we sort of live in a society a bit now where everything is instant, you can have it at the push of a button. Whereas that wasn't around when I started sort of hairdressing. But the hardest thing I found was, like you said, totally, you have to develop all your skills, you have to sort of experiment, you have to play. But actually finding my own style and my own niche that I could flourish and I could grow in. It took me a very long while. People go, but it took me a good 7, 8, 10 years before I felt comfortable within myself and my skills, even though I was doing the hairdressing. So, I mean, I look at your work and, when we work together, I can look at a model and go, let's gonna like that model. Let's gonna want that model. So again, when you're how did you sort of refine it down to your own style?
I think like a lot of the work, there's a fine line between consumer to editorial or consumer to fashion shoot. And I think from fashion shoot to avant-garde shoot or avant-garde look, there's also a fine line in between them. I think a lot of the time when we're overdoing it, when you overdo it and that becoming very unwearable or above commercial or above fashion.
Yeah.
So that becomes avant-garde. I think it's very, very important to train our eyes how to spot elements within the current trend or within the future trend. And then you just sort of do it nicely, but without overdoing it. And I think that's how you want to spot your market.
Yeah.
If I were to using certain things to bring it back to my salon and do it on a client base, I wouldn't turn the dial up as much. I want to make sure that they are not being laughed at by the general public. Make sure they don't look funny or not fit into the occasion. But when I'm doing a photographic work, and that's completely different. Anything you need to turn the dial up slightly more. And then, for example, my British Hairdressing Awards, because British Hairdressing Awards is they have also the commercial collection and also the avant-garde collection.
Yeah.
I think sometimes you overdo a lot of things, and that cross the line of being commercial and you're becoming avant-garde. So I think to train our eyes is very important, to not overdo it and yet you know where to stop. And I think this is very important, as whether it's at beginners or when we're training at the beginning of when we're at the college, someone already saying to you, don't overthink it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the most simple thing, but you overthink it or you overcut it, because sometimes it's just that simple, but when you overthink it, you overperform, and that becoming not quite right or not what you like.
Yeah, I know. And again, it's you've probably heard this story. Me tell it. I trained with Trevor, and I remember one day him sort of going, we're a bit quiet. Take that head block, go off into the corner, do a hair up, and when you're done, come and get me. So off I toddle into the corner, and I do this hair up, and it takes me however long, and then I go and get him, and he comes over, and he's looking around it, and he's going, "That's incredible, love that," and I got a grin right across my face. All these things that he's pointing out and saying that he loves, and then he takes 5-10 steps back, and he just goes, and it looks like a pile of rubbish. And that's me being polite.
Yeah.
Because I had thrown everything at it. I'd thrown the kitchen sink, I'd thrown bows and loops and curls, and individually, on their own, one of those aspects was a really good idea. But when you throw them all together, it was overkill. And that's what I mean. It takes time to learn the skills, but then I think it takes as long, if not longer, to sort of learn to refine them and learn when you can let go and when you can't let go.
Yeah. Like I say, some people can easily spot my work, and because it's very important not to lose your identity, and that's something that I'm trying to still perfecting at the moment. Is we see a lot of inspiration sometimes, whether it's from a picture, whether it's from a piece of artwork, whether from some object that we see in our everyday life.
Actually, no, you've just, that was one of the questions that was asked. Where do you get, you sort of covered it briefly there, but where do you pick up your inspiration from?
I think a lot of the times my inspiration is from what I see on catwalk and material. I see material, and then I see certain things that how they work, and that actually can be applied on hair. And then I go to hobbycraft a lot, and I go to material shop a lot, and when I'm actually walking sometimes, and apart from looking at my phone very very often, but I also looking at a lot of things that surrounding. So like you using, like sometimes you see a certain texture, you really like it, but it's difficult to make it to hair. But then how can you replace that with something else and make it into hair? So one of the look that I actually have for my British Hairdressing Award is I use a lot of material, a lot of different texture, wool and thread to put into the hair, just to create a complete different texture for the hair. And I think that's really very important for me, and all the time trying to find inspiration through session and editorial work. And it's creating shape. I would say shape and texture is my thing. Shape and texture is my thing. And also at the same time with fashion element, like with clothing, to go with it.
So I know that again you're entering this year. You've got another collection, and you're going again this year. So fingers crossed. Lots of love and support. And